Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about this new poll from Ipsos sponsored by ABC News that first of all shows Kamala Harris in a strong advantage in this presidential election with a 4-point lead over Donald Trump, 51 to 47. Now Ipsos hasn't been the most accurate pollster in recent elections, so we're not going to be particularly worrying about this number too much. Instead, we're going to be talking about the crosstabs. ABC always gives us a wide range of crosstabs in their polls that are extremely helpful to grasp how this election is going. And of course, most specifically, as you noticed from the title and thumbnail of this video, today we will be looking at the crosstabs involving women because in this new ABC poll, women are breaking heavily for Harris, 56 to 42%, ultimately much more than Trump's margin among men, which is 51 to 45, which in the end does give Kamala Harris the 4-point lead nationwide, considering that men and women basically vote at equal levels. Vote equally. There's basically the same amount of women who vote as there are men. I think that women actually vote a little bit more than men. So of course this is extremely important. What this election will come down to, I mean, it'll come down to a lot of data points, but one broad one is the margin among the genders. If Harris is running stronger among women than Trump is among men, she probably wins the election, and that is key. Because women, of course, are a voter group that is trending heavily towards the Democratic Party in recent elections, and of course, Kamala Harris being a woman, she would be the first woman president at all. I think, I mean, of course, we're going to get to a lot of issues, especially abortion, which is motivating these women, who may not have voted in prior elections to now turn out for Kamala Harris. And even those types of voters are pretty hard to capture in polling. So ultimately, Kamala Harris will win this election. At least in my latest forecast, it is an extremely tight race, but I'm pretty confident that she will win. And it is ultimately because women are going to break so heavily for her, where it barely even matters what the male vote is, as long as it is relatively close. Kamala Harris keeps the male vote relatively close. Doesn't matter if Trump wins the male vote. I think that women are going to break so heavily for Kamala Harris in this election that again, in the end, men, I'm sorry, but it'll barely even matter for us. So again, she currently has a 14-point margin among women, and that makes total sense. I mean, of course, you have the abortion issue, which is front and center for most women. As you can see, all the polling conducted shows that young women, what what issue motivates them to go out and vote the most, extremely motivates them, what's extremely important to them, time after time after time, poll after poll after poll, election after election after election, proves that it is abortion. I mean, abortion is an issue that the Democratic Party is on the right side on, with the American people. I mean, even in deep red states like Kentucky, Idaho, Kansas, pro-choice abortion referendum ballots pass. So it's relevant to all people, but especially getting these young women who have never voted before or only voted once or twice, maybe in the midterms was their first time. It really encourages them to go out and vote. It is solidifying women as a Democratic stronghold, while men are still up in the air. The right Democrat can win men, while it really, again, solidifies women as the Democratic base. I mean, this has been the case for a couple elections now. But if Harris does win them by 14-point margin, as in this poll says, or more, then again, it really solidifies for elections to come the Democratic stronghold that they have on women. And you can see, I thought I had it highlighted here, I guess not. But when it comes to the 2020 election, we can see that Harris is making improvements among women, or not even 2020, especially 2016. Because you look at 2016, you see that men, this is from Pew Research, this is their exit polls, so this is pretty accurate information. And in 2020, men were divided, pretty equally, as it says, between Trump and Biden. That makes sense. Biden ran a very moderate campaign, right, as a white male, pretty moderate coded, whatever. The male vote was really split. And this is unlike 2016 when Trump won men by 11 points. Now, when you look at this poll, Harris is only down by men among 6 points. Hillary lost them by 11. Harris is down by just 6. You could already start to see, which is interesting, even among men, the improvements that Kamala Harris is making compared to really Hillary Clinton's actually narrow loss in the 2016 election. People forget that it was an incredibly narrow loss. If Hillary had done a point better in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, she could be finishing her second term right now. So when you look at that already, just among men, it's a clear it's a clear advantage that Harris is making. And then you see Biden won 55% of the vote. Again, it was very solidified for a lot of reasons. And even when Biden won the election in 2020 with 55% of the female vote, he won the electoral college quite comfortably in terms of just the electoral college margin. Still, Harris is outperforming that margin, even among the margin that Biden won by. She is outpacing Joe Biden among women, getting 56% of the vote when Biden only got 55%. Biden won women by 10 points, 55 to 45, or even 11 if a point went to third-party candidates. Today, Harris is winning them by 14. You could see that there's a number of independents, just 2% undecideds, I meant. There's 2% of female voters who are undecideds. I assume they're going to break heavily for Harris. Then her margin is 16%, clearly outpacing the 10 points Biden won women by. So you can see Harris is losing slightly among men, right? Biden lost them by a point. Harris is losing them by 6. But among women, she, is making up that exact ground. She's losing ground by about 5% among men, but she's making up a minimum 6%, 6 or 7 or 8% among women this election. Remember, 2020, Roe hadn't been overturned. That is huge. This is still a post-Roe election. It mattered so much in 2022. I expect, looking at the sort of campaign Harris is running, it will have just as big of an impact on 2024. When the issue Roe, it is going to be the most important issue. I've said that for quite a while now. With all things considered, especially 2022, abortion will be the key motivator for women in this election, and it'll drive them to the polls, and that they are going to vote for Kamala Harris. So clearly, Harris is not losing ground enough among men to offset the gains that she's making among women. Ultimately, she is gaining from 2020, basically. I don't know how, of course, whatever. There's other factors that result to a plus 4% margin. But Biden won the popular vote by 4.5% in 2020. Harris is quite literally matching that. She's just down, but I don't know if you round if it gets to 4.5%. That's entirely possible. But she's basically matching Biden's margin. And, it's obvious. It makes sense. She is losing 5 points among men, gaining 5 or 6 among women. Ultimately, women, if they turn out, they will win Kamala Harris this election. And it appears that they are. You've got Pennsylvania, for example. The suburbs around Philly, and of course, incredibly important, as you have heard so many times in this election. And look at how they are turning out. Chester County, Delaware County, Montgomery County, Bucks County, some of the largest circles on this map, indicates that they are turning out to vote. You look at Erie, very much a bellwether swing county that both candidates always campaign in. Look at how many, look how few voters are turning out in a county like Erie that is breaking heavily towards the Democrats, I might add, compared to these very suburban counties that I wish I had my 2020 map up, I don't, but all these counties, besides Bucks, broke heavily for Biden in 2020. I mean, Chester County, this one right here, actually voted for Biden by 17 when Hillary only won it by 9 in 2016. These suburbs are rapidly trending towards the left, and of course, a key factor of that is suburban women. Democrats are solidifying the suburban mom vote when, of course, they were a stronghold for just as far back as Mitt Romney in the 2012 election. Of course, there's that famous wine mom vote who voted for Romney in 2012, switched to Hillary in 2016, and stayed with the Democrats, voted for Biden in 2020. That is clearly a factor in the suburbs around Philadelphia. These suburban voters are turning out. And it's a clear indicator that abortion is a motivator for these suburban voters because they are, looking at the shade at that shade of blue there. They are turning out for Kamala Harris, and that is huge. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. That helps out the channel a lot. If you enjoyed, drop a like as well, and again, subscribe. Drop your comments. Let me hear your thoughts on this video, and I will see you all later.